nearly all the cortex off of it. And over here is still another thick edge that you want to tackle a little bit with, and the best way to do that is kind of build just a little bit of a platform. What I'm doing is I'm breaking it a little bit this way so that when it starts back, I hit it from this side. See, it's got little hinges in there, and so when I hit it, see, it did take quite a bit of it off. It still didn't come all the way around, but eventually that's what you want to accomplish. There are basic reproductions of different tools. This first one is a tomahawk, and if you look at the edge of the tomahawk, the wood is wrapped all the way around. It's shaved and wrapped, soaked, and then wrapped with rawhide. And the purpose of that is, if you were going to fight someone with a tomahawk and you had a choice of this kind of wrap or a tomahawk like this, right down here, on a split stick where you just shaved the stick and tied it at the end. The first time this hatchet hit that rawhide, your stone would be on the floor and you'd be fighting with a stick. So it's called a fighting tomahawk. Okay, up here in this one, we have everything from drills and punches, and this is a Folsom point, a fluted Folsom point. It's fluted on both sides. 10,000 years ago they did that. This is the Clovis, and the flute's on the other side. These are Sandiaman points, and this is a spoke shave. The spoke shave was used to scrape the shafts of the arrow, and then you would use a shaft smoother. Then down here we have a knife. This is a mahogany obsidian knife, and it is embedded in a forked deer horn. And the way it's mounted in, it's glued in with pinion pitch once you groove it and fit the deer horn. And this one's a Burlington shirt from Oklahoma. And then this is just an example of how you would soak the deer horn. You cut the horns off, soak them, and then just cut out the marrow, and then you can mount your tip the way you want it, and then glue it in. So that's pretty much it. Others are just different things like gaming pieces, all kinds of wooden tools, because they had everything from weaving combs to saws made from hard elk bone. And then over here, I don't know if you can see them very good, this right here are needles and different kinds of beads, including turquoise. What they call preforms. And the reason they're called preforms is if they went and had to travel 400 or 500 miles to get materials, they would sit there for 3 weeks and make a bunch of these different preforms out of whatever materials were available and bring them back. And then once they got here, they would decide what they wanted to make from them. They could make knives out of this. They would make a nice knife. Some of these would be just good butchering tools, and that way they didn't have to carry the 200-pound rocks back. Left are just regular pottery, and up on the second one to the right is the one that has the Indian tooth in it, and the ones below are look like they're part of archaic to paleo points, but they're broken, and so somebody would have to evaluate those. The red panel, a little further to the right up on top, is some more pottery, and some of them came all the way from my daddle property to places around here. And the red panel is one my dad made. He made that frame, and I used to have my chain mail in there. But everything except the second row on the right, third row on the right, those are El Paso points. There's 3 of them, and the other one I'm not sure what it is, but they're not, as far as I know, not old. But everything else on there is part of it. What I think is 5,000 years or more. So there's going to be interesting, discussions over those. So. And as you go more to the right up there, there's more pottery. Down below this one panel with arrowheads. They're local from the Rio Puerco area, somewhere in there, either upper north Rio Puerco or south Rio Puerco. So there's different kinds. There's even agate points made out of agate. So they're kind of interesting because they're different. Now we're from the Weathering Ranch, including the beads that were with a skeleton that we finished digging out. And the archaeologist gave me all the beads and one other piece that's down in this bottom section there. But most of those are from that crossing, and it's an interesting thing because I read something about certain Apache tribes. Once they killed an animal, they would not reuse that point. They would take it and throw it away. And I kind of believe that's where I found these, because nearly everything I found in that area is in perfect shape, which means they were either very super careless or they just threw them away. And they're just thick. I mean, I found hundreds of them. Chronological panel with Sandia points down to modern steel points. And the one drill there at the very bottom by that kind of ceremonial point was with the skeleton also. It was one of her tools.
Where did this pot come from again?
From the Rio Puerco. It was about, maybe a half mile north of the Sletta property line, and it was buried completely. I tried to pull up part of the rim and couldn't pull it up, so I started digging around, and the rest of the rim is gone, but that was the whole pot, and I just took the sand out of it and then put it together later. So pot has been worked on. You can see where they've been made it square or round, and some of it are game pieces. And the other thing is that there is a fork and a spoon there. The fork is solid silver. It was found at a site somewhere where somebody lived, and the rest of them are just tools, different tools that came from different places.
And what are the panels underneath that are sitting up there?
Those are, that's just pottery, and the middle one has scrapers and tools and things that, that were used by the Native Americans. The one on the left is a educational panel, and they do want that because what I did on that one, I tried to get all these pieces I had, so that my dad had given me and I had, and match the type of point that it went with, so that's what that's for. And of course on the left there, I don't know if you can see it with that lamp, but that square round one is from White Sands Missile Range, or mostly arcade points.
And what about down below?
Yeah, that's just, most of those are just either monos, parts of hand axes, starting. Most of them, a lot of them are just hammer stones that they use to break things up. And then down here on where that little panel is that you had a while ago, that is a paleo bend cover, the stone one.
Oh, underneath there?
Yeah, underneath. It's a hole, and the cow stepped on it and broke it, but other than that, it's the whole thing there. I used the bird points to accent the floral part of the points. And in the main channel, there's some more of those that I found at that crossing that are in perfect shape, and I kind of think they threw them away, because how could they lose hundreds of points unless they hunted it and just threw them away? It must have been one of the tribes that did that. I can't figure out why else would I find stuff that, and they're very similar. You can see the similarity. Some of them are made by the same person. You can tell that. And a lot of those, the outside are more crude ones that they did use. They actually used them for something, but there's over 200 on that panel.
I was wanting to get your thoughts about this whole process of, having your collection moved to the Maxwell and all that kind of thing.
Well, according to Karen and Dr. Phillips, that they were going to put it in a whole dedicated hallway so that people can see them when they do tours, going down to see the pottery and stuff. Somewhere where all the people can enjoy them, and also have redone the catalog to points that somebody, if they want to look at a certain point, they can look up the number and go in there and find out where it actually came from. So I've done that a little more, and they want to set up some kind of a station with a fold out, maybe, so that you can have those 2 notebooks in. So, and from that standpoint, that would be great. As long as the panels are displayed good along the wall, so the people of New Mexico can, or even visitors, can see them. That's really all I had. It's too hard to bring people in. I brought a lot of people in here, but that's it. That's pretty much it on the artifacts I've got. There were 1,660 stuff like scrapers and arrowheads, and then I had over 600 things of pottery, so they're all cataloged that way.
So how did you get started collecting arrowheads and all
Well, what happened is my dad gave me a little handful of arrowheads when I was 14 and got me interested, and then I started looking at them and I said, well, how did they make them and what? So I went to the library, and while I was in the library, I was reading this one. It says, make sure you catalog where you found these, and so I read a little more on that and started my own catalog, and I didn't have that many points that my dad couldn't tell me where they came from. So after that, I documented everything I ever found. So that's my catalog, and that's the best way to do it.
So is that what got you interested in flint knifing to begin with?
Well, yeah, because I was interested in how they made the same points. And that's when I got started, and my grandfather did show me a couple of flaking techniques that he knew, but the rest of it I had to learn out of books. That's where you'll find it. It's there. People wrote about it, and then of course I started doing my classes and stuff, and of course every time I learned more. So that's pretty much what I do. I still do classes, and I still do demonstrations.